This is a Star Wars fan story. This story takes place completely within a world created by George Lucas. The concept of Jedi and Sith, as well as any other trademarks, are exclusive property of Disney and Lucasfilm. The story begins in 34 ABY, concurrent with the events of The Force Awakens, beginning with Feldar, a Force-sensitive Yoda species who was just learning how to control his powers and even how to speak himself. He was doing his best to train T-Bod Weavek, who believed his potential to be unmatched by any other. However, Feldar had just learned his powers himself and could barely speak, so it was very difficult. But despite this, the two trained for years together in exile. By 38 ABY, the fact that T-Bot hadn't even began to scratch the surface on his potential had him extremely frustrated. He believed he should be way ahead, and he completely blamed Feldar for where he was at. T-Bot attempted to strike down Feldar while he was meditating. However, Feldar's incredible force abilities allowed him to send back his apprentice by just lifting a finger. With his body beaten and his ego destroyed, T-Bot fled for years, studying the knowledge of the ancient Sith while traveling the galaxy in the shadows, vowing to only reveal himself once he believed his power to be greater than any Sith in history. It was 42 years later, in the year 80 ABY, when a new era began, known as the New Beginning of the Sith, due to an incident known as the Trap of Korriban. A party of 12 Jedi were dispersed to investigate an unbelievable spike in Sith energy on Korriban. Among them, Grand Master Rey Skywalker. She led the party along with 4 other Jedi Masters. Little did they know, T-Bod Weavek had long since evolved into Darth Exentero. He had learned to not only harness the energy of the ancient Sith, but to draw Sith energy from any given planet that he was on. He had released a massive surge of energy to draw the Jedi in, attempting to eliminate the Grand Master, as well as his former master, Feldar. Feldar, however, was off-planet, busy with the training of younglings. As the Jedi ship entered the atmosphere, Darth Exentero was enraged when he didn't sense Feldar on the ship. He let out a crack of force lightning, damaging the ship enough for them to start to fall. As the ship crashed down, the wounded Jedi began to charge. Master Girk, a powerful Gamorrean with 2 blue lightsaber whips, was the first to reach Darth Exentero. Girk was confident he was a long-serving Jedi Master who was extremely in touch with the Force. The duel began to favor Girk immediately. He seemed to be 2 steps ahead of the Sith's every move. This made the Dark Lord unbearably mad, and he had learned the ultimate power within his anger. Exentero let out a giant surge of force lightning, striking all directions. Somehow, Girk was still holding his own, blocking the lightning with the spins of his whips. As Girk began to close in, he was horrified to see his Padawan, Labar Zelb, force lightning draining his very essence. Girk dropped his guard and cracked his whips at Darth Exentero, forcing the Sith Lord to break his attack. However, Girk was injured bad from the lightning, and so was Labar. After easily blocking the whips, Exentero jumped at Girk and cut him down. As Labar pulls himself to his feet, ready to avenge his fallen master, 2 more Jedi, both gifted masters of the High Council, one of them a Togruta named Jorba Wintesis, the other Dimbek Bar, human Jedi who himself had asked his own Padawan, a Rhodian named Rijlo, to fall behind and await reinforcements, had joined his side by the battle. Labar screamed with passion as he charged Exentero, Masters Jorba and Dimbek by his side. The evil Sith, however, power still multiplying with his hatred and the ancient Sith energy within the ground where he stood, walked through the Jedi with ease. The rest of the Jedi party was arriving to the duel as Master Jorba was hitting the ground behind Labar and Master Dimbek. Rijlo charged next, screaming his fallen Master Dimbek's name as he ran. Darth Exentero barely acknowledged the Padawan, pushing him aside before locking blades with 3 more Jedi, this time cutting down Jedi Knights Hinek Eth, a Gungan, and the former Padawan of Jorba, as well as Gaton Zim, and a Twi'lek, and a Duros Knight Viltos Kos. The Sith didn't slow as he continued through the Jedi. A Bothan master named Sindek II was next, followed by Shish and Mon Cala Knights Fenbek Jakor and Belvar Haktim respectively. It had come down to the Grand Master, Rey Skywalker, and Rijlo, a Padawan, taking on a Sith threat unlike any since Palpatine. Master Rey tried telling Rijlo to find balance and that they needed to work together. The Padawan had different plans as he attempted to strike Exantero. With a simple raise of his hand, Darth Exantero froze the Rodian in place and lifted his blade to strike. Rey thrust the Sith Lord back with a force push before the two became engaged in a duel for the ages. The two seemed to be evenly matched until Riegelo again charged the fight. Exantero disarmed Riegelo and held his crimson blade to the young Rodian's chin. Rather than finish Riegelo, Exantero explained that he could sense great fear and conflict in the Padawan. The Sith Lord explained that he could teach Riegelo how to use the fear to achieve great power. Exantero offered a choice. If Riegelo would strike down the Jedi Grand Master, he would become Darth Luce, the new apprentice of the Sith Lord. Sensing the conflict herself, Rey disengaged her lightsaber, explaining she could not be beaten simply by being separated from her physical body, as Riegelo pulled his lightsaber side to his hands and struck down the Grand Master. Thank you for listening to the prologue of this story, The Continued Republic. Please join the next video where we're going to be going through some of the characters and doing some explanation of the characters and who everybody is, including who we've already met in the prologues and many more. And then we're going to dive right into this main storyline after that. So, thanks again. If you're a big Star Wars fan, please subscribe. If you like this, there's lots more to come. And please remember, this is not for profit, and I do not own the rights to anything Star Wars, lightsabers, Jedi, or Sith.